I am 40 weeks pregnant, waiting for our 5th baby's arrival. And I found that the best way to wait for our new little family member is to keep on doing the things that we always do. So today, I'm bringing you along as I do a little homemaking. I have gotten into what I feel is a good habit of tidying my room up each day. And so what this consists of is first making my bed, then picking everything up off the floor, and finally clearing the surfaces, putting everything away where it belongs. Having a system like this really helps to make cleaning up a space much less daunting because you know where you're going to start, you know the steps that you're going to take, they're the same each time, and you end up with the same results. Now, when I happen to have these piles of clothes that have come out of the dryer and need folding, I'll just put them on my bed, and then when I get a minute, I'll go ahead and fold them. And so typically this happens during my morning routine while the kids are getting ready, but we are just getting back into the new school year, and so we're figuring it all out again. This particular day, I think I didn't get to it until after we finished with school. We did things out of the normal order that we usually do them in, and so we had breakfast and lunch a bit later than usual. And so what's on the menu today for lunch is a chicken, rice, and bean stew. I started out by adding some butter to a pan, cutting up some carrots, celery, and onions, and letting that saute a bit. That's always a good base for any super stew. Of course, we add salt, pepper, and some seasoning. I think that was some poultry seasoning, and garlic. Then I added some brown rice, and I didn't have any chicken broth, so I just opened up a pack of ramen soup and used the chicken bouillons that were in that, and I let that flavor up the soup and added a bit of water to that as well. Then cleanup. Cleaning as I go is something that I've had to train myself in. I used to just make a big mess and then clean up everything at the end after we ate, and it was just too much. So little by little, I've gotten into this good habit, and I've got to say, it makes the final cleanup much easier for whoever's doing the dishes. Speaking of, that's what I'm tackling next. And dishes can be one of those mundane things, one of those things that's like, man, this has to get done every day, multiple times a day. But I notice that when I fill up one side of my sink with some hot, soapy dishwater and just give these dishes a good bath, it usually makes it go by much smoother. And I don't know why, but I just enjoy it more when I do it like that. So here I'm just adding some chicken that I had made in the crock pot and some beans I had soaked and cooked up a few days prior. And it was just a really nice way to use up these leftovers. This is Parmesan cheese, which added a nice finishing touch to the meal. So then I saved my food in a glass jar, and I believe we had this for dinner later on that day. I had put a big pack of chicken breasts in the crock pot and made a couple meals from it, and this was maybe the third day of using the meat And so I knew we weren't going to use more. I had also soaked and cooked up some beans and on that same day. And so I didn't want those things to go bad. So I put them in a glass mason jar and put them in the freezer, because as you'll see later on when I clean out the fridge, it's just easy for waste to creep in. And then here we are, just straightening up. Straightening up is a big part of homemaking. You're doing it all day long. It's a constant chore that's being done throughout the day. And oftentimes I do feel like I'm in the kitchen the majority of the day, but it just feels so good to walk into a clean kitchen. And sure, some days things do pile up, but for the most part, it's much more manageable if you just clean as you go throughout the day instead of waiting until the end of the day to clean up one large mess. Kind of like what I was talking about earlier. This is really what I try to do for every part of the house, is to clean as I go. Otherwise, at the end of the day, it's just a disaster. No. Oh my gosh. What? Does it smell bad? Oh! My sourdough starter. Oh my goodness. Does it stink? I'm not even gonna smell it. I'm not even gonna try to smell it here. I was debating whether or not to show this part to y'all because, quite frankly, I was a bit embarrassed by how much food I had to throw out that I had let go to waste. This can get tossed. What's this? I was talking to my friend Cecily about it, and she gave me a good idea of something her family did when she was growing up. She said that they had a leftovers night. Basically, at the end of the week, whatever leftovers there are, you heat them all up and you have a smorgasbord of leftover food. I'm going to try to implement this or something like it because being a good steward of all of our resources is really important to me. So please leave a comment if you have any helpful suggestions. I would so appreciate that. So basically, I'm just clearing out the whole refrigerator and then taking out anything that's expired. Then I take a vacuum cleaner and just vacuum out, the onion peels and just little debris that comes off of all the produce. And what I'm spraying here in the fridge is just a mixture of soap and water. And I use some hot, clean water in this bowl that I just would dip the cloth in. And just wiped everything down, just gave it a good wipe down. And I'm slowly adding back everything that we're going to keep. And I like to have a sense of order in my fridge. Dairy products with dairy products, juice with juice. And this is our meat and cheese drawer. This is our fruit drawer. And I put this cloth down to try to eliminate some of that extra debris. I used to use paper towels, but they would just get soggy and crinkly and would basically look just as messy as if I didn't use them. So I stopped using anything for a while, and now I'm trying these cloths. So far, I like how they've been working. So I'm just placing my produce nice and neatly, and it feels good to have the refrigerator in order. And that was the water that I used. You can see just how much my fridge needed to be cleaned. More clean as you go. See, it really does happen all throughout the day. I'm just replacing these shelves on my fridge after washing them, and it feels good to have a tidy, organized, and clean fridge now. So now I'm addressing the sourdough. It had gotten so dry because I just kept it in this measuring cup with a tea towel over it, and it dried up almost completely. Then I turned the measuring cup upside down, and I saw that at the bottom it was the color that it should be. The sourdough starter was the color that it should be. So I just had to scrape that top layer off, and what was underneath was softer. So I just warmed up some water on the stove, and I'm trying to get it nice and softened, and this just took a lot of stirring. I mean, a lot of stirring. I used some freshly ground wheat that I'm storing in the freezer to try to get this revived, and I will tell you that if I was brand new at having a sourdough starter, I probably would have just dumped this whole thing out and not even tried. But I've been working with the starter for almost 2 years now, and so I felt confident that I could get it back to where it should be, you know, active and bubbly, and I did. I was able to. It took about a good week, but it happened. So I was able to make some delicious bread, and I was very glad that I didn't throw it out. And what's a day of homemaking without doing at least one load of laundry? With 6 people in a home, laundry piles up pretty quickly, so it needs to get done just about every day. And so that's what I did today, about 1 or 2 loads. Now I'm finally having the chance to sit down and start folding up the clothes that I had put on my bed earlier with the help of a couple of my girls. Well, I hope that you got some value from this video, maybe a little bit of motivation and encouragement to continue on in your homemaking, even if you're waiting for a baby to come any day now. Or even if you're not pregnant, you just feel like you're not feeling it. You know, some days we just don't feel like doing all the homemaking. But I hope that you feel encouraged to keep going even when the going gets tough. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, take care.